Hello, this is Daryl Martin with ApexInvesting.com, and this is another Be the Sniper or Be the Target webinar series. Check us out for free at apexinvesting.com/bootcamp. Get 30 days of free access. Once you sign up, just log in and click on Bootcamp, and you can get full access to our room. You can also get access to our education and access to our tools and exact setup, step-by-step, that we take. So, I've got to throw the risk disclosures up there, know what you're doing before you do it, all that fun stuff. And then Markers Plus Trading Assistant. Okay, so who has downloaded the new Trading Assistant? The upgrade in the toolkit. Y'all liking it? It's insanely faster, isn't it? So kudos to everybody who helped contribute and test. Thank you for your patience. Not only is it fast, but it's faster than it's ever been. So make sure if you haven't done so, you update the toolkit. You upgrade that through your desktop assistant. And like I said, it's better than ever. It's super fast. You have to right-click on your chart. This is a big reminder. You got to right-click on your charts and load the TA template to get the new Trading Assistant in there, okay? You won't notice anything visually different. It just works a lot better, a lot faster for the new NinjaTrader release. Remember to use the TA Skype room for anything you got going on. Holiday trading. So when you're driving, the car's not always in drive. Sometimes it's in reverse, sometimes it's in park, sometimes it's in a different gear, right? So, we think about short positions, long positions, but holding, a position of cash is a position. So, trading is a lot like driving, knowing when and when not to be, in a certain position or in a gear. My recommendation, Wednesday and Thursday, is a cash position that you're probably going to want to be in park. Okay? So, enjoy your Christmas. Don't sit in front of your computer. If you are going to sit in front of it, go through the trainings. All right? Back test, go through the trainings. Spend that time, but what do you think is going to be happening? If you're a trader making, 7 figures a year and you're running the big boys on Wall Street, 7-8 figures a year, what are you going to be doing? Nothing. Exactly. They're all on vacation. And we follow the big traders. So it'll be a little bit slower next week, but there will be traders trading. But Wednesday and Thursday, you're going to want to be really careful. Okay? And the market can move on very little volume. So we usually have what's called a Santa Claus rally. Now that we got, they're voting now and getting the whole little bitty stimulus and government funding thing out of the way. As long as all that clears tonight, which I saw that they were already starting on voting, then, we should just have a Santa Claus rally, which means we're probably just going to be going, mainly up. But, of course, it's going to swivel in the process, but it can jump around. You may want to demo trade if you want to practice. But, take time, be with family, enjoy that. Remember, do you live to trade or you trade to live? What should be the goal? Not live to trade, James. Exactly. Trade to live. You don't have to ask somebody for a vacation as a trader. And I know sometimes you feel like, well, if I'm not trading, I'm not making anything, da-da-da-da. It's okay. You are making something. You're in cash and you're not losing all your money right before Christmas, because wouldn't that really suck? So don't run your Christmas. So don't expect to see anybody in here Wednesday or Thursday. Obviously not Friday with it being Christmas. Okay? So, there'll be people around, but, I'm going to be hanging out with my family. So, just something that I want y'all to keep in mind. All right. And then at the end of the webinar, I'm going to give away a free month for those who have been posting and sharing on our Facebook page. So stick around for that. How would y'all like to do some chart review? All right, I'm going to start out with tonight. And I'm going to go over simplicity a little bit for tonight. How does that sound? Some nighttime simplicity review? There's not a whole lot to do, but let's go back here and start at the open. Okay, so it exploded at the open. Are you going to try to take a trade right after a big bar like that? Let me get my pointer. Y'all like the pointer, right? Get my big pointer. So after a big bar like this, are you looking to take a trade long? Even if you get one like right there? Or do you think you're just asking to get hammered? Because it's probably going to do what when you get that big of a bar? What's it probably going to do? It's going to pull back. Well, it goes sideways, and then it does exactly that. It pulls back. And tonight was a great night. I mean, I'm up almost $8 grand for tonight. And that's not trading big contracts. That's trading like 4 contracts at a time. So if we follow over here on simplicity, we got an angle down right there. On both of them, we sell short. We got our stop if it closes above this. Solid line. Once the solid line gets below the entry, then we can start trailing it. Trailing it, trailing it, trailing it, trailing it, trailing it, trailing it. And then it closes above it right here, and you can get out right there when it closes, or just set it right to the high. So not a bad little trade, going from 27.07 down to 27.01, 6 points. Now it pulls back up, and we get a long right here. And we have a couple targets we could look at. What targets do you see we could actually look at on going on the long side? We got the wall. And then it pulls back and gives you an LRE. What could you go for if you want to go for on the LRE? I think that's red ice. Or flux, whichever one that is. I think it's flux, actually. So you could go right for the flux and then take it off. Okay, or even your simplicity. Now, let's say if you want to hold on to it, and you're like, maybe it's going to go further, you could tighten up to the dotted line. But you'd want to get out. Okay, it turns around. It's going short. And let's just say we keep taking them. Okay? So right here, we got a short. It's going down, down, down. Pulls back up. What do you see to the left? And by the way, what did you see to the left right here? Did you notice this? Did y'all notice how it bounced, 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 and then it stopped? Okay? I mean, that really shows you that's your ultimate target. That's where it was bouncing off of multiple times. Remember, look left to trade right. Okay, if we go over here and we look at this, we got it going down, down, and it goes right down to where it stopped, bounced, came back up, stopped, went up again. So you could either tighten it up or you could close it out up here. Let's see here. I can zoom in the bars a little bit for you. Does that make it a little easier? All right, now this one's going right back up into that flux level. So we get an entry right there. And let's say we're going for settlement. It comes back down and we're out with a very small loss, like a couple ticks. Not bad, right? You okay with losing a couple ticks on a trade? Now, one of the things I talk about is y'all want to be really aware and ready to go the other direction at any given moment's notice. And one of the things that we added in, I don't know if you noticed this on the chart assistant, is you can actually choose simplicity or sniper, and it will highlight those buttons. Did y'all notice that new feature we added in? James, there's not really a minimum. I mean, you could use it with micros or whatever. But now if you choose simplicity, it'll just highlight the lower button so you don't get, messed up and actually click the wrong button. Do y'all like that? So over here, when it closes down and you close out your trade, if you have time, you're going to hit sell low, right? And it'll sell that. It's coming down. Bouncing back up. It gives you an LRE right there. Comes back down. Comes back up. Now, I talked to Benjamin about this in the room on a different trade tonight. I want to give you all a tip on something I do on Simplicity. Okay? Would y'all like a sort of a bonus tip on how I am able to ride some of these out a little bit longer? You don't have to do this. Okay? It's just something that I like to do because it usually only gives me a couple ticks risk to do it. Okay? Notice how this comes down. What's the rule if it closes above the solid line? Close it out. What if I just put my stop right above that? How many ticks would I be risking? I mean, like right above it. Yeah, like 2 ticks. So I could say, you know, just in case this is just a fake close up, I'm going to put it by 2 ticks right there. And I'm going to be ready to go long, by the way, because this would be a potential early entry. But I can put my stop right there, and I can even have my, you know, buy high ready to go for the trade. Yeah, the room's open in the evening. I'm only in there usually when I do webinars. But there are other people in the room. So, do y'all see how I put my stop right there, and then it keeps going down? Well, then now I can just start following this red line again. Following it down. Following it down, it closes up. If I put my stop right above it, boom, I'm out of that trade. So, and following that trade that way would have got you from 27.0750 down to about 26.97 or so. So, what is that? 10 points? Not too shabby for the evening. Okay, do we have a long entry right here? Anybody see a long entry or not? Nope, no long entry. Going down. Do we have a short entry right here? So there's almost like a barely, and I don't like them when they're barely, but there's a barely short that you could take. If you did take it, you would have lost a couple points. Okay, like as an early entry right there. But then it turns around, and again, you got to be ready to go, I'm going to take my loss and grind it and go for the next trade. All right, and so that one pops up. Goes over here. You can put your stop right down below it. It'll knock you out. And it gets a short, but it's a big bar. Do we want to take that big short? Right there, we don't. Look at this one. Still not one. Still not one. Finally, there's a short right here. So our first target would obviously be what? What would be our first target on this line right here? Dynamic magnet. So if you just wanted to take a small target, you could have targeted right there and got out. Went down a little further. By the time it climbed back up, you got out the dynamic magnet anyway. So it was a small profit of just a few points. But nevertheless, still a profit. Now we get a long right here. Trying to, better to do bar by bar, but okay, so y'all see where both lines are angling up. We get an up close bar. Doesn't matter if it's up close or down close. But it breaks the high of the setup bar. The setup bar is when both lines are the same color and angling in the same direction. As Grant would call it, a nice arc. It's going up there. Okay, and now it's out. Got a few points on it. Are you going to be okay with getting a few points now and then? Lose a few, get a few, and every once in a while get a big one. Okay? Now it turns around. What is this right here? Is this a potential early entry? Yeah, so you'd be hitting buy high on that, right? It goes down. It doesn't enter. Okay? Got a potential early entry there, but it doesn't enter. Now it's going back up. We got a potential entry if we break the high. We actually did break the high on this entry right here. So we're in on this trade. And this is another example. This is the one I was talking about to Benjamin, where I said, hey, it broke below the low. I'm just going to risk myself a couple ticks because I'm in profit already, all right? By like, I mean, basically it'd be about a break-even trade. But I can put my stop right there. Okay? And then it's going up. See, I would have had to wait to get back in until it got way up here. I was able to stay in all the way from down here and ride this trade up pretty far. So it shot up, it spiked up. What usually happens after a big spike? Okay, so if you're in a simplicity trade, and that happens, what do you think might be a wise idea to do? Yeah, you can just close it and get out. It went up a little bit further, but by the time it got out down here. You took the profit. You didn't have the trailing thing going against you, you know? You can always look for an LRA if you want to. But, I mean, you can just take it. So many traders, who can relate to this? Because I know I've felt this. I even felt this recently a couple times. Where I've had a couple bad days. And I felt like, man, I'm really good at making profits. I'm really crappy at taking them. Anybody ever feel that way? It's like, man, I can make profits hand over fist, but man, taking them, that's the problem. So, you know, I had to have a little, you know, talk with myself just this past week about being good at taking profits and not trying to get the 100-point move. And you know, the thing is, like, you're up, but then you let it all go. So when you see a good reason to take a profit, just take it. Yeah, maybe you could have made twice as much, but how many times... Okay, we who in here is really good at remembering all the times they could have made more money if they would have stayed in? I mean, I know I'm good at remembering that. And what does that create? That creates fear of missing out, right? And the reality is, let's see, who just said it? Just like Todd said it, like 1 out of 10 of those times, you would have made more. Like 9 out of 10, your FOMO turned into oh no. Right? Anybody relate to that? Dang it, I should have taken it. Got a question. Is it good to use Lilu with simplicity? Only if you're doing micros. You can do micros on that and do minis on your sniper trades. So that FOMO turns into oh no. Don't let that happen. Okay? So we had a nice run up. We took our profit here, or you got out here, whichever one you did. And now we got to set up for a short. All right? So we got a new settlement level way down here. We got a red flux. We got a wall. We got several targets. We got the old settlement, because new settlement just popped up. Starts going down, gets down to the old settlement, starts oscillating a little bit, and we're out of the trade. It's going up. What's your first target on going up? So we made a little bit on that trade. Now that dynamic magnet. So, if you're nervous going into a level like that, what could you tighten it up to? I mean, you got in right here. What could you tighten it up to on the chart? Yeah, the dotted line. You could always tighten it up right there. You'd basically be at break even. Turns around. You're okay. Does that make sense? You see it coming into a level. This isn't like Sniper. This is simplicity. You just tighten it up. If it breaks, it may break and keep going, but it may turn back around. Okay, like right there. So that is not an entry. I'm just saying if you were getting in that trade, what would it be? Now, would you get into it right here? Because technically the entry is not here. I'm just saying if you were getting in there, what could you do? I'm trying to give you an example. I'm sorry. Didn't make that clear. So if you were going to get an entry right here, let's just say both of these lines were angling up, what could you do? All right? Now right here, how do you feel about that trade being right in front of the dynamic magnet? Pass on it. There you go. Bob says, when you hold out for max profit, you're often left with nothing to feed your compounding spreadsheet. That is so true. Let's see, a good question comes up. Is it okay to draw mini magnets from the Sniper and 30-tick charts onto Simplicity? If you want to, yeah. Especially the 30-tick. I more watch the 10-tick. I don't draw everything on the 10-tick or I'd be drawing all day. So it turns around. We didn't take it. Looks like it's... What does this look like to you now? What is this forming? Yeah, chop. All right, just a little mini range right here. It goes back down again. Goes back up. Keeps coming back to this level. Now we get a short. Okay, can we take that short? No, we didn't. We said we don't take the trade because it's right in front of the dynamic magnet. Yeah, it could be the bottom of the range or it could be a short. Since it's rejected this price and it broke out of the high, often it will break down below the low. And it goes right down to our flux. And we're out. Okay? So in, out, very small profit. Nothing right there, no short. For a long, not a long. There's a long setup potentially. What is this long at? And I think somebody already said it. We're at the bottom of that range. What are we at now? We're back at, or now this is like the top of the range. Okay, see what happens? It goes right back down. Now we got another potential short going into the flux, but it's at the bottom of the range, and it goes back up to the top of the range. Now we get another potential short. The bottom of the range goes back up. Now we're getting an entry below the flux pivot. Do y'all see that? We're below the flux. For the first time, we've got an entry below the flux. And if you can watch this stuff, because this is, I mean, who agrees this is what eats you alive? This stuff right here. If you're trading simplicity. Like, it'll eat you up. So you really want to look for those ranges and look for it to break an important level on the range. So it goes up. Still in the chop. And what are we at right here? We're still at the bottom of the range. We got our first flux break, but are we below the range? I'm trying to get y'all to see this. Like right there, are we below the range even though we got a flux break? No, we're still in the middle of this chop. And that's where we're at right now. We've been chopping ever since. Okay? That's current. So y'all see that? How that right there, this is what eats everybody up in simplicity. Not seeing this, seeing these ranges. Because you look at this, direct, is there a range? But you didn't look left and see the top of the range. The bottom of this range is now the top of this range. Now it goes down. Now it goes back up. Now it goes back down. Now it goes back up. If you can avoid this, who thinks they'd have more money in their pocket? Do you think that y'all could, like seeing that, do you think you could start looking for that a little bit more? Looking left, looking for ranges, tops and bottoms of ranges? If there's a sniper, do I know which should I take, a sniper or simplicity? I mean, I love snipers that line up with simplicity, but if there's a sniper, I'll take it unless I see something on simplicity that tells me not to, or sniper that tells me not to. All right, do y'all want to do more simplicity review, or do you want to do sniper review? All right, let's do some sniper. We already did some simplicity. Let's see here. A reminder, if you want to be productive on Wednesday and Thursday, spend time reviewing the simplicity chart, spotting the ranges, drawing boxes around them. Look for breaks. It's a better use of time. Practice spotting this. Don't just trade through the holiday markets. Use it so you can come back with the new year even better. Okay? Be a very, very good use of your time. All right, we'll do a little bit of simplicity and then we'll hop over to sniper. Okay? All right, so I don't know. We'll start here. Let's see here. May I trade Wednesday and Thursday to make... Okay, here's something you can do on Wednesday and Thursday for Lilu. So trying to get your count for Lilu is just flip a micro. Get in a micro, James. Get out of a micro. That day counts. Is there a simplicity long right now? There is, but what are we at? We're at the top of this range. Do you really want to buy at the top of a range? So would you want to take that right now? No. All right, so going back to the morning, we'll do a little mix. I got a vote for both that came in, so... All right, I can talk about this morning because this morning was sort of interesting. Most traders should not trade on Wednesday. I would not recommend it. So this morning, who knows what happened? Who knows what happened overnight? And then what happened at 9:30 this morning? So overnight, the market was down. Most markets were down a dev or more. NASDAQ was down. Nope, the vote did not pass this morning. They said it was going to pass, but it hadn't passed yet. London had a mutation thing where they said it spread 70% faster, freaked out the markets, and the markets crashed down overnight. And then this morning, the Secretary of Treasury hopped on the CNBC Squawk Talk. I actually was broadcasting it in the room, and he hopped on at 9:30 to try to give some good news to try to make the market bounce back up. And he did a little bit, and I was ready for that. We had a nice little simplicity long. It was in the dark zone, but I did actually ride it up a little bit just because I knew he was on there just to make the market go up. Okay? I advised most traders to sit on their hands because I knew that was a risky play. And then once he got done talking, about 10 minutes into it, the market proceeded to move back down. Now, there's a short, let's see, we have a early entry short right here. If we take that early entry short, where they're both angling down, should we be aware that there's a lot of stuff around us with all these walls and everything else, and it's going to be a choppy ride? Yes. So I'm not saying you can't take it. The morning usually moves pretty good. but don't expect it to be just a straight little line. So it comes on down, breaks through that wall, comes down to that wall, breaks right through the dev, bounces back up to the flux, keeps going down, comes down to a triple dynamic magnet, which was also the low before the market open here. This chop range, would that be a good take profit zone? I mean, it could keep flying down, but would that be a good take profit? Comes right down and hits that. All those levels are there. They didn't come in after the fact. They're not in the future. They're now. But does that help you see into the future by knowing that all those levels are there? Yeah, this could easily be a one and done. 23 down to 570. That's 50 points. So is that a pretty nice trade for the morning? Do you need to keep going for more money? Or could you just take your profit? I mean, you could have taken it here and it still would have been good. You could have taken it here and it would have been good. It's okay if you don't get the whole thing. All right, is everybody's... I'm hoping y'all are all seeing how I'm talking a lot about targets. Now here we don't get a entry until it's flown way up. Right there. And what is it flying up into? What is that entry on this bar right here? We're going to enter here. What is it going into? Going into a wall, but what is it also going into? What do you see right there? Going into a deviation level and going into chop. Do you want to take a trade right into chop and those levels at the same time? I mean, at least here, we didn't have chop in our way. We were coming down. I mean, we had a little bit over here, but it moved on up. But this is where it paused. And I'll see it go down, come up, and then, like, there's a 50% retrace. And the bar is too big. Exactly, Jack. So it turns back down. Look where it goes back down to. Right back down to that dynamic magnet. And no entry. Now it starts giving us a short into the triple dynamic magnets. Would you want to be a little careful on that? Bottom of the range again. And then it goes down. It would have been a nice simplicity, but we were safe. Now we got another short. We got just tons of dynamic magnets, so we know it's going to be a choppy day in the process. Goes up, get a simplicity long, goes down. See, it's just chop. And this is where y'all get eaten alive. Am I right? Because y'all don't look out for this chop. Who agrees? Like, this is totally the part of simplicity that makes simplicity hard, is looking out for that chop. And it's hard not to have chop when you got magnets everywhere. So you should sort of expect it. Now over here, it finally breaks out, but it's still going into all these levels, and it does make a nice run. Your better run would have been when it came back down, and then went back up, and you're up here, and you got clear skies. Right through that gap wall. So this one's valid, but it came all the way back down. It did an LRE. Came back down. Did an LRE. Came back down. Did an LRE. Your LREs would have been a lot better for you. This is later in the trading day. Yep. And it just kept going and going and going. So after it broke out of that chop and it gave you an LRE, could you ride an LRE out? Now that you're breaking above the chop? I mean, would you be... Does that make sense? If you're a gold member, there is a chop indicator you can put on 30 tick bars. Yet a lot of these LREs can be TXFs. It can end up being HDs on snipers, like Abdul's talking about. But you wouldn't want to be getting in here. This is, like, I would almost go, you know what? I know it's not a reset, but I'm going to treat this LRE more like a reset, and I'm going to take it. Because now I think it's going to bounce off the bottom of this chop and then go up. Chop box is on 30 tick. The simplicity chart's in the room in the bottom corner. That's okay. But you see how once it finally broke out of its chop, you got a good run. Okay? And then it went back into chop again. Now it starts trying to break down, but it's still in this chop. Then it breaks out again above the chop. And then you get another good run. Alright? The chop detector. Yeah, you can put that on large tick bars. Some people use 50, some people use 30. I don't use it. I just look for chop. But some people do like it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I just see the chop. Okay, y'all want to do a few sniper reviews real quick? Just trying to plug a webinar in here, a little education before the Christmas week starts up. All right, let's go way back to this morning. All right, we start trading. 5 minutes past the open. So here's 9:35. Right here. Okay, do we take that right there? The thing on the bottom is a TX detector. No, we do not take it because it is coil chop, right? Now, what about that? What do y'all see there? A range, exactly. It went down. I mean, you got a big W going on. Y'all see that big W? So a range bound, you can go against DR. You can't go against it on a filter TX, but you could go against it on ODD, HDD, ETXs, and range bound. So range bound one, 1, 2, and we're profitable. See, what about right here? Do we have a trade right here? You got a slight ODD and the bottom of the range. Sort of broke down to the bottom of it. And an ODD with it. So do we take it? Yes. There we go. What about right here? What do we got? So another range. Okay, right here. Here's a tip for you. Before we play this thing out. What do you see that would make you do something on this chart? Right now. So like we got in right there. Went up, came right back down. Got coil chop and you got double clusters. So does that mean we get out of this trade at break even? Like we're out of it? Would that save you some money if you would take attention to that? I just hit close. Just close out the trade. All you got to do is go close. Okay, so you see that coil chop with that double cluster. We expect chop, and we're seeing chop happen. So it's doing exactly what the double clusters are telling us. If you have the copy trader, yeah, whatever, you just hit close. It doesn't matter. You just hit close no matter what you're in. Yeah, it also threw a mini magnet. It threw a ZOI down there. It's going to have to break through that with coil chop. Close will close them all. It closes everything. Even on trade copier. Comes down. You easily would have got a break even on this trade. It turns around and you would have lost if you would have had that FOMO, that fear of missing out. Like, hey, this was a good trade. It was a good range-bound trade. It's turned into a bad one. It's got double clusters. It's got coil chop. Get out of the trade. Okay, so that saved us. So now we're 2-0-1. One for, we'll call it break even. All right, we don't really have much there. There's not a lot of room to the bottom of that. Would y'all agree? Not a lot of room for that range. I mean, it's very small. You're going to run right into that mini magnet and double ZOI. And it's choppy to the left. Good. Would have worked out, but it wasn't worth it. It was a possibility, not a probability. Okay, do we take that trade? Nope. Coil chop. Okay, can we take that trade? We have room down to the wall. Got red DR. Filtered TX. Profitable trade. What does that mean? What's happened now with your day? It's also a slight HD. So it's 3 and done unless you decided not to take the trade because the dev was in the way, which would have been a wise decision. So let's say you didn't, and let's just keep going. All right, we can't. There's no ODD because we're comparing to chop, so we have nothing there. All right, we don't take that. It's not an ETX, an ODD, an HD, or anything. Remember, we're only like 20 minutes in. It feels like we went through a lot, but we're only 20 minutes in. All right, now we got an ODD long there with a range that's broken. I want you to see this. That's broken through that wall 1, 2, 3 times. It's going into a dev. Well, it's not going into a dev. It's going into a wall, but it's broken the wall 3 times. Do y'all see that? And it's coming off of 3 dynamic magnets. Remember on that simplicity chart? Remember that this morning we were looking at that. We looked at that simplicity chart. Remember those triple dynamic magnets? When it came down, we're like, oh, we should have taken profit here. It literally gave you an ODD trade to go long. So when we were over here, way back in the morning. So right here, got those triple, and it gave you an ODD right on it. Look at that. Would that have been a good reason to get out of your simplicity if you were watching your sniper chart? What did it do last time it hit that triple? What did it do right here? It bounced. So it gives you another ODD. So take the bounce. So, and you want to look for those levels on your ODDs. A lot of times ODDs in the middle of nowhere can get you. Anybody ever, they get you like you hop in and then they just keep going? So look for those strong levels. It's a lot more likely to bounce off of those. And then there we go. What about here? Benjamin said he only takes ODDs off of a level, and his win percent has went way up. So no trade. By the way, we got that ODD. What are we at now? 3-0-1. What should we be doing right now? And that's if we didn't count the last trade, because we're going in that dev level. Trade before the last trade. Go fishing, have breakfast. That's what I did. I stopped. I was up about 10 grand this morning, and I decided to call it a day. So we'll go through to 11. What do we got right here? Got ODD. It's also an ETX. ETXs often bust through levels. So with that combination of an ETX with an ODD, do we like it? Let's say you missed one of the trades. Remember, ETXs often bust through levels. This was not an HD. HD has to be on the other side after 2 pullbacks. There we go. Only because, now if that was just an ODD, I would not have taken it. But an ODD with an ETX, very strong. You got a lot higher probability of it busting through those levels. But if you didn't take it, it's not horrible, but that's why I would have taken it. I missed one back there. Whoops. Do we take that trade? No. We're in coil chop. May have worked, but it wasn't worth it. What about this trade? You got a range bounce, maybe. I like you said maybe, Hugo. Got a little bit of HD on it. But it's going right into a wall. So I'm not taking it. It worked out, barely. Remember, we only need our 3. So you should be done already for the day. I'm just going through for a little bit more chart review. Okay, right here, do we take this? No. Do we take this? Got an ETX ODD. Uh-oh. Probably should have hopped out right there at a small profit, but it still made its money. So it was an ETX ODD. Had a coil chop. You see that? So you could have made 5 ticks and hopped out, but if you didn't, you still made your 10. Yeah, the more you watch it, the slower it gets, even though it's fast. Like, to me, I like fast markets because they're not fast to me. I've watched them long enough. So it's just a matter of watching them. All right, what do we got right here? You could do a range-bound short because you're coming off a dynamic magnet. Or you could just not take the trade. I like it at top of range, so I probably would look at taking it. The one thing I don't like about it, what do you think the one thing I don't like about it is? That would make me, like, I would take it except for this one thing. All those clusters, that's right. So I like the trade except for those clusters. I'm not taking it because of the clusters. It works, but that's okay. Now we're breaking down below those triple minis. By the way, we don't know if we have an ODD there or not because it kept going down. Even if we did have an ODD, let's just say we did. Would you take that trade? Going into a triple stack? No. Alright, so even if we had an ODD, which we probably didn't, based on how big that OD number is, would not have taken the trade. Okay, now we got a short. But we're going into a wall. But it is a ETX. It's an ETX with a filtered. So I'm going to take it because the ETXs often break through levels. And it's profitable. Just because it was an ETX. It was also an HD trade and a filter TX trade. So that was literally 3 setups in one. 303% coming off of the triple stack with an ETX, with a filter TX. That was 3 trades in one. Our probabilities are very high. So I would not want a double mini magnet or a stack in front of an ETX, but if it's just a single level, I'll take it. Yeah, and a triple dipper, so 4 different trades in one. Okay? So, but it'll often break through like a single level. And we've seen that a couple times now with ETXs, haven't we? Alright, now we got an ODD, which is going to take profit before the wall. Do we take the trade? I don't take triple dippers by themselves anymore. They're just an added factor. And what else do we have? So we got an ODD trade. What's the other trade setup we got? And we got an SLZ coming off of the Flux. SLZ, star, low volume score, ZOI. Okay? It's coming off that dynamic magnet and that flux. We take it and profitable trade. You took that one, TZ. Awesome. Should you be done by now? Yes. Are we asking to find a loss if we keep going? Alright, there's a long. Now that's a long in a what? 3-bar chop. 3 bars up, 3 bars down. It's going to the top of the range. No trade. Now we got an elevator. Now can we take the elevator? Yes. You can take the elevator, even with clusters. Elevators are often breakouts of chop, just as Benjamin just said. And it's profitable. Came off that most recent high right there. That's a high. First elevator, early in the trend, take it. By the way, doing what I'm doing right now, all I'm doing is I'm on my keyboard and I'm just pressing the right arrow so I can go 1 bar at a time. How good would you get if you stopped every day after you're done trading, good or bad day, and went 1 bar at a time and just reviewed the day? Do you think that'd make you better? A lot of y'all have been doing that. Has it helped you? So I got people saying, yes, I've been doing it. It's helped me a lot. I do it every day and I've improved a lot. So I recommend that anybody who's not doing that, when you get done trading, don't just stop. Your end of day thing should be, 1, you should be logging in the 90-90, the 90-day challenge. But 2, you should go back through and do it 1 at a time. I like this better than replay because I can go bar by bar and I just wait for a detector signal to pop up at the bottom. Do I have a trade there? Nope. No trade at all. Ooh, it's getting ugly now. There we go. Breaking out. Do I got to trade there? So John's wanting me to bring something at 10:06. I don't know quite what you're talking about. Sorry. Okay, you want me to look at something here? John wants me to look at something back. Where you want me to look at, John? Right here? So John's talking about this right here. We're going down, going down, going down. Maybe you're inside of a simplicity trade. We hit double mini magnets and we hit the one dev. Would that be a good point to tighten your stop or take profit on a simplicity trade? Could you have seen that if you didn't have this stuff on your chart? Would you have seen the one dev and those dynamic magnets there? Or would that just been empty space? I mean, right to the tick. So there's no way you would have seen that without the Apex tools on your chart, right? You just would have been holding it thinking it's going to go further. So John wanted me to point that out, like, just seeing what you're seeing. You don't want to be blindfolded when you're driving. Let's see. Okay, going over here. Let's see, we already did that one. All right, what do we got right here? We got a double TX on a range. Here we go. Can we take a double TX on a range? We got room to the bottom of the range. Yes. All right, profitable trade. Double TXs do work better with pause and mini magnets. That's right. It was an ETX as well. So we had an ETX and a double TX at the same time. Good job, Brett. So, and off a ZOI bounce. All right. All right, we're coming up on 10 o'clock. That's an hour. Did y'all get something out today? Are y'all seeing how if you can just follow the rules and pay attention to the charts, you can avoid the bad trades and take the good trades? I mean, I don't ever like go in and cherry pick this. Y'all been on a lot of these reviews with me, right? I never cherry pick. I just take the day. Like the current day. So last week I took the week before last I did a Tuesday. Today I did a Monday. It didn't matter what day of the week it was. So if you will take the time, and I so hope that everybody on here listens and takes the time to do these chart reviews themselves every day. Just one bar at a time, looking forward. You could look through the whole day if you want to, but I mean, like, go, okay, but mentally note when you hit your 3-0 and stopped. And then you can keep going and just to help your eyes, train your eyes to see the trades. After about 100 of these reviews, yeah, hopefully you'll be getting a lot better. But I heard somebody talking earlier about, like, it seems like it goes so fast I can't catch them. And part of that is training your eye to see it. Muscle memory for your eye. And so doing these reviews will help speed up that muscle memory and you'll see the trades a lot faster. Okay? So Paul's been comparing with another local trader. It's been helping him out. Well, I will not be here. I'll be seeing y'all tomorrow morning. But I wanted to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year. And I will see y'all tomorrow morning in the room. We got a webinar late next week. I hope y'all enjoy your holiday. All right. Y'all enjoy your holiday. All right, you too, and y'all are very welcome. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great night.